Do you get a little bit anxious when you're planning a road trip, not knowing how far you're going to go each day, where you should book campsites to, how far you're going to drive, all of that stuff? I have got the solution for you. Hey guys, I'm Kat from Wandering Bird, and on this channel we share tips and tricks for touring the UK and Europe by motorhome or campervan. And today I'm talking about how you know how you're going to plan a trip, especially if you want to book up a campsite or a parking place every single night, how you know how long it's going to take you, how far you can go in each day, all of that stuff. I've got a couple of solutions for you and I will get to that very, very shortly. But first, if you are new to the channel, hi, welcome, and you want more tips for motorhoming or touring around the UK and Europe, make sure you hit subscribe so you can get access to all our new videos as they arrive. So if you want to plan your trip and know how far you're going to be driving each day so that you can book up campsites or just prepare yourself for long days of driving or shorter days of driving, then there are a couple of ways that you can do it. The easiest or most obvious way is to get a paper map, stick pins in it or put points on it, and then you can put those points into a sat nav or into Google Maps or something like that, and it will tell you an estimated driving time. Now, obviously, that doesn't take into account the size of your vehicle. It also doesn't take into account any traffic conditions or accidents which might happen on the day of your driving, but it does give you an estimate on how far you're going to go each day on small roads, on motorways, that kind of thing. It's a bit of a long-winded way, but this is how I used to do it using Google Maps so that you can get an idea on where I was coming from before I share with you a new bit of software, which I'm really quite excited about. So I've just started here to create a list. I'm doing an itinerary this month for my membership group, and somebody has asked me to help them with an itinerary to see the Normandy beaches and see most of the memorials and things like that. So I'm just putting that together for them, and I'm just showing you the way that I would have done it. So this itinerary is going to start, was actually going to start over here, but we'll start in Con, and then you've got the Bio-War Cemetery. Obviously I haven't put all the different points in here because this is just an example, but what have I got on there? So let's look at the Utah beach. So then you would obviously save that to your list of the Normandy beaches, and you can, like you say, you can see all the dots there. They're starting to build up, and you can start to see what you might do on each day, where you might want to spend a couple of days, how far you're going to go. It's going to end, this itinerary is going to end at Mont Saint-Michel. It's a beautiful place in Normandy itself. So you can't go to Normandy without seeing Mont Saint-Michel because it's magic. So this is a very, very rough outline of the sort of itinerary that I have been putting together. And as you can see, it's got the points on there, so it's really good to see. So if you are doing some research, if you're on somewhere like Pinterest or Instagram, you can absolutely start saving points like this to a Google Maps or whatever kind of mapping app you want to use, and you can start seeing how you might build up an itinerary around the points that you are saving. I still use Google Maps to save places that I find, so that if I do ever head that way, I can see places that I might have found in the past so that I can sort of add them into my itinerary. So that's how you do it with Google Maps. And then, like I say, you would have to then put in all the different points, and then you would add them into a driving itinerary, a sat nav, something like that. You can even do that on your phone. You can literally do put your starting point as a Con, and then go to the Bio-War Cemetery. You can see how far the driving distance might be, and you can estimate whether that's enough for a day or whether you want to go further, and then you can start booking campsite around that. So that is number one, or number two if you want to include paper maps in that as well. But there is a new app which I have started using to create these itineraries for the group, and also for myself. I've been doing them loads. I'm doing Sweden and a bit of Finland and Norway later on this year, and I've been planning out that road trip in that because I've got people who are flying out and I want to make sure how I can get to an airport, the airport that they're going to book their flights to, make sure I get there on the right day and stuff. And this app is called Wilder Trips. So this is wilder trips. And obviously this has got a lot more detail into this itinerary because it's the one that I have been working on. But as you can see here, you can see on each day. Now, the way that it works is if you want to do a 7-day itinerary or a 10-day itinerary, you have to put those number of dates in the itinerary. Now, you can absolutely change that. So let's do it for July. Let's say we're going to change it to a 9-day itinerary for July. And then what it's done is at the bottom of the itinerary here, oh, let me move my face. It's added on an extra couple of days. Now, you don't have to fill them up, but if you're not sure how long you want to spend or how many days it might take to do the trip you want to do, obviously, if you are constrained to a holiday from work or something like that, you'll know exactly how many days you've got. But if you're not sure, then you can just add them on, you can take them off, you can do whatever you want to it. So what I love about this is that you can put the points in. So again, you've still got to do your research. You've still got to find the places that you want to do. Wilder Trips doesn't necessarily give those ideas for you, although they do have some free itineraries that you can have a look at as well. But once you've done your research, you can input them onto the map exactly the same way as you would with Google Maps. And then you can see the driving distance between each point. So this itinerary is going to start in a tract. And then what I've done there is I have added in a little bit about the place. I've added in some pictures, and I've also added in links to campsites. I've researched campsites that people could stay at as part of the suggestion. And this is how I have been building up. So I know that that's day one. Now, day two, they've then got about 27.5 miles, but it's 57 minutes because it's slow road. So they've got about an hour driving there down to Hornfleur. Now, somebody on my itinerary might be like, well, an hour is not very long. I'm going to drive all the way to Con. And they can absolutely do that. But the nice thing is that is an option in the itinerary that they can look at. And then when they've made a copy of this, because you can share it with people, brilliant. Once you've shared it with people, you can then change that for your own uses. So you could delete Hornfleur. I'm not going to, because it's got all that text inside it. But you could delete, say, if I was going to say, what's that point there? Les in France. So I've just added that on. I've added it on inside day two, so it's pointing to that. So that's now added in there. Now, if I said I wanted to go to Les before Hornfleur, you just take it up on the left-hand side, click those little 6 dots, drag it up to above where you want to, and this will choose a route. Now, again, this is based on basic mapping and sat-nav software. So it doesn't take into account the fact that you have got a motorhome or a wide vehicle or a high vehicle. So this might well send you down a route that has got, a low bridge or something like that. So it's not in place of a sat-nav. This is purely for planning. And then obviously you've got to pay attention to the road signs and everything else. But it can now see, so I've got to get from the camping and trap on day one to get to this Licio that I've just added in. It's an hour and a half now to get down there. And then I've got half an hour to get back to Hornfleur, and it shows me a rough mileage. You can also change the settings. So you can avoid certain roads. So if you want to, in France, avoid toll roads, and if you want to avoid motorways, you can then update the trip settings, and you can see all those roads have now moved, which now makes it 2.5 hours to get from day one to the first point on day two. You can see all those different options on there, and you can also calculate your trip costs. So we'll do it in pounds. 1.6, I've got no idea what it is at the moment, we'll leave it at that. 25 mile per gallon. If you know exactly what your vehicle does, then brilliant, you can adjust that to suit. And you can see there, between each stop, it gives you an estimate of what the fuel will cost. Doesn't take into account tolls, but it's a really good way of being able to plan out your trip. And then if you say you don't want to go to this Lucio, because I've just made it up, I've got no idea what's there, you just delete it on your version of the trip, and it can you can see all of those different points. So what I have been doing here is I have been adding in all the different places, doing the research on campsites and places that people can stay, and then putting all of this research into a way that makes sense for me. Now, I tend to do quite a lot driving on my trips. I know most people don't like to do that. So I tried to keep it about an hour, maybe 2 hours tops. And if you're moving around, especially if you're doing a lot of museums and sightseeing, which this particular itinerary is all about, you don't want to then have to drive 3 hours or whatever between them. So I've added in all of the, now this day is quite heavy, but if you actually look between the points, you've got the beach, however long you'd spend there, the cemetery, one of the important D-Day monuments, the Experience Museum, and then you've got Utah Beach, a cafe that is actually, this sounds really cool, it was built around a German communications bunker. So I haven't actually done this itinerary myself yet either, so I'm quite excited to use it when I go around there. So although there's quite a lot in that day, you can then see, oh, that's quite a lot of sightseeing, I don't want to do that. So then you could add that to a second day and you could just stay around this area for an extra day if you wanted to. And you literally would then, say you want to do this landing museum on the next day, you just drag it in and it adjusts it all for you. It's really, really clever. I think I did that after the cafe, but it doesn't really matter. And similarly, then I've got a whole day to explore Cherbourg. Many people might want to take 2 days to explore Cherbourg. There's a lot going on around there, especially if you want to include like the Liberation Museum, the Airborne Museum, the castle, all of that thing. And then you've got this awesome lighthouse up here. And then my last stop on this point is the Mont Saint-Michel. If you've never been, definitely go. It was amazing. And then I have added in pictures, and you can add in links to the different campsites. This campsite made me laugh so much. I'm just going to call it camping halitosis forevermore. But yeah, it made me giggle. And then, like I say, if you want to then go on to say San Malo, you can just, can't spell. You can add that. And then it immediately puts it in. It puts your estimated costs in, it puts your time that it will take you to drive, all of that on there. Have I still got the settings for? No. So again, if you want to do the coast roads and avoid the main roads, there you go. You can see all that has changed. And again, just to reiterate, do not forget that this doesn't take into account your vehicle. So you will need to put this into your sat nav. But what you can do with Wilder Trips is you can download the trip as an itinerary on the bit of paper here, and you can download it as a PDF, and then you can take that with you when you go on the trip, and then each day you can just put the next point or the next point however you want to do it in. I wouldn't worry too much about the exact roads between place to place, because like I say, if there's an accident, if a road is closed, if there's roadworks, anything like that, which might happen between now and say September, if you're planning a trip in September, you've got no way of knowing that. So planning the exact road several months in advance might not always be the best option for you. So I would only worry about that a day or maybe 2 days before if you're really anxious about it. But you can absolutely download this as a PDF, print it all off, and like I say, you can then do on the first point, right, Juno Beach, and just do it point to point in your sat nav, so that you've got it all sort of there, and it will show you the best option for your vehicle, assuming you've got a sat nav that will show you the different roads based on your vehicle type or vehicle dimensions, and then you can navigate from place to place based on those. I think it's an epic bit of software. I'm really, really enjoying using it. So let's say, all right, you wanted to add it in and you want to now find a campsite somewhere around St. Malo. I tend to use Park for Night. Am I logged in? Yes, I am. What did I say? St. Malo. St. Malo in France. I want a campsite. Oh, that looks quite nice. Got 4-star. What else have they got down here? What's that one? Variable location. Camping. See, camping yellows are normally lovely, but they're also normally really busy. So that's how you would find it anyway. I'm going to go with this first one that I found. And what was it called? Campsite La City Deli. Excuse my pronunciation. Campsite La City. There we go. So that comes up, and have you seen automatically it's got that little moon on, which means it's an overnight place. So you can then drop that down, you can paste that link into the notes. But say you want to, it's not an overnight stop, say just visiting friends, you could then change it to an outdoor activity, a place of interest, a fuel stop, food and drink, which is the one that I saw that I was like, oh, that sounds like fun. You can add that in there, or you don't have to do anything, you can have it as the default thing. So that's Wilder Trips, and I am so pleased I found them at the NEC please show. I hope you agree with me that it is a fantastic bit of software and I'm really enjoying using it. So I hope you get to dive in. It's totally free to use. If you want to do things like sharing it between your friend or making more detailed, longer trips, then you do need to pay for the premium plan, but don't panic. I have managed to secure you a deal which gives you 50% off the annual plans, makes it like less than £2 a month or something like that. It's an insane deal. So if you do want to start using it, then absolutely, I'll leave the details and the link in the notes for you, and you can get 50% off and have a play with it. I hope that helped you feel a bit more confident about how far you're going to go each day and where you can book campsites and all of that stuff. If you've got any questions, by all means, drop them below for me. If you want to know more about planning road trips, then this will be a really helpful video for you to watch next, and I will see you there. Take care. Bye.